Hey everybody, this is herculespetix, founder, curator, docent, and gift shop employee of the herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies. Today we're going to finish up our look at Off Comix. This is number 12, and this is the last issue I own. After this issue, Off Comix took a hiatus of, I think, like 4 to 5 years, came back starting with number 13. I used to have a lot of those. I sold them, and I think with good reason. I think the ratio of crap to good stuff was didn't meet my standards at the time. Maybe I should reread them. I don't know. But I think I'm done with Off Comix after this issue. This is a great issue, though. And it seems like after the hiatus, they got rid of all the international artists, or most of them. The color section, it just wasn't as good a magazine, I thought. We start off, of course, with a Gilbert Shelton cover of the Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers. Pretty nice cover. I like the way it's askew like this. It's kind of striking. Inside front cover, we have a full color The Adventures of Fat Freddy's Cat by Gilbert Shelton. Man, really, this just looks great to me. Just really sharp. Classic, Shelton cartooning. Love that panel there. It's kind of groovy. And then once again, it's just a silly gag where Fat Freddy tries to hypnotize his cat, but he ends up getting hypnotized by the cat because he's such a dummy. Here we have a painting, or I believe this is just a highlight of one of Robert Williams' paintings. This is Reinstitution of the Loose Eye Law. And this is from his Zombie Mystery Paintings book, which Ripoff has just recently put out at this time. So this is kind of just an ad, because it directs you to page 35 where you can order one. But it's kind of cool getting a little taste of Robert Williams' paintings. Contents page. And then, once again, the feature that began last issue, the Ripoff Review. To make it more like a magazine, they wanted some of this prose material. Cartoons of Sculpture, the creations of Clayton Bailey. Kind of interesting. This guy makes very cartoony sculptures. And he also makes robots, which in a few pages we'll see more of them. I also wanted to mention, it's kind of tricky how they do this. I forgot to mention this. The first 2 pages, the first signature of the comic is color, but not until the color section is all black and white. But it's kind of crafty, because you open the magazine, you're like, oh, this is a full color magazine. If you don't look further, there is a color section coming up, but still most of it's black and white. This is really interesting if you're a nerd like me. Comics on the Stage, and it's about all of these theatrical productions of comic characters. So there was a Dee Dee Glitz play, Diane Newman's character, and there's a picture of her. Here's Spain Rodriguez had a comic strip called Fact Wino, which there's 3 examples of it right here. This was published in the San Francisco Bay Guardian. I've never seen these reprinted. I never heard about it until this article. Maybe they are reprinted, but I would like to read these. So someone adapted that comic. Spain actually did the set designs and a lot of the art design of that play. I guess there was a Zippy the Pinhead play. Here we see a picture from it. Someone did a theatrical adaptation of Robert Crumb's famous story, White Man Meets Bigfoot. That's a photo from there. And there's Fact Wino, a photo of the main character. And they just talk about all these other connections between underground comic guys and theater. The article continues a little later. So here's another thing about that same artist, Clayton Bailey. Real Robots Don't Blow Smoke Rings by Don Baumgart. And these are examples of his robots. They're all made using like old coffee machines and strange, found objects. It looks kind of fun. I guess this is a museum show he had at the time. He also does weird things like this, like he made a fake Cyclops skull, a Bigfoot skeleton. This one's just called Disgusting Specimen, and it is. So I would have loved to have gone to this show. Never heard of this guy outside of this magazine. Here's an interesting article, Censored. And this is just about, if you guys remember last issue, Gilbert Shelton wrote about the knockabout publisher, the English underground publisher, Tony Bennett. he was getting harassed by the government. So now she's talking about other cases where, the arts have been censored. So I guess this is like a multi-part series. And so she's basically just getting into the history of censorship with this. This is like the origins of censorship. Here's a nice little strip by Willem called The Press Under Pressure. And pretty good little strip. I wish it was printed bigger. But I guess they put it on this page because it fits the theme. Here's a continuation of that Comics on Stage article. A little article about graffiti by Frappington T. Wildebeest VII, so it's kind of goofy. We see some examples, not very good examples of graffiti, but we do see a stencil of J.R. Bob Dobbs. And this one, they say it's a Basil Wolverton-like face they found on Market Street. Maybe Monty Wolverton was out there doing graffiti. Letters to the editor, and we get a little bonus strip here from Philippe Andre, a French cartoonist. Pope Funnies. It's a very odd little goofy joke. Gag. Do you prefer jokes or pokes? Jokes. Do you prefer cops or popes? Popes. Let's switch uniforms then. Very strange. Now we have another installment of Martinez the Fascist by Spanish cartoonist Kim. I love his style, like I've said before. I really love this drawing. And it's in this episode, Martinez's family is playing around with a Ouija board. It seems to work. He's like, oh my God, I gotta get my old fascist friend. We can communicate with our old allies, our old comrades. So they go to the Ouija board, this guy, and he's talking to one of his old dead comrades. And basically the ghost says, yeah, you're the one who executed me. Of course I remember you. And then the table flies up and whacks him in the face. It's like the ghost getting revenge. So the final gag is that Martinez has got to go on the lam just as a nun because all the fascists are looking for him to kick his ass. Here we get another Charlie Schlingo comic, Tampon Distartin. And once again, just look at this cartooning. So much fun. Really just impeccable good stuff. And also very just Dada weird sense of humor. I'm not even going to explain the joke because it's just crazy. It's still great though. We got one page of Dorman's Doggy by Frank Stack. Once again, really nice drawing. I think Frank Stack needs to keep to one page because all that later stuff I didn't like by him, like Amazon's. Those are like 8 pages and it just went on and on. I think he got tired. But man, when he just really puts the work in, his stuff looks great. And this is a really weird Dorman's Doggy because the owner says something to his wife. He says, what do you think Pinky Poo, that's his name, what do you think Pinky Poo wants out of life? And Pinky Poo, Dorman's Doggy, says, what do I want out of life? A few table scraps, some raw hamburger, a velvet cushion. I think it's more ambitious. Wisdom and scientific knowledge, wealth, revenge on my enemies, and mastery of the universe. And I love this last panel because Dorman's Doggy is always such a kind of a wimpy little wuss, very meek. And just this menacing, threatening Dorman's Doggy is kind of surprising. Really good strip. It's one of my favorites of Dorman's Doggy. Now we have Chapter 5, the conclusion of Wonder Warthog and the Battle of the Titans. Written by Gilbert Shelton, Joe E. Brown, and Tony Bell, with art by Tony Bell and Gilbert Shelton, or vice versa. So it's right where we left off. The Warthogs have basically finally confronted the big boss of all the vice in town. Wonder Warthog, who was kind of disguised as his alter ego Filbert Desinix, finally gets rid of the disguise and says, I'm Wonder Warthog. The guy accidentally kills himself when he tries to shoot Wonder Warthog. The ricochets get him right in the face. And they decide to find the commissioner. I guess there's one person who's not a criminal in the city. It's the old commissioner of police. But it seems like he's gone crazy. He's lost it. And so Wonder Warthog basically tells him his plan. He says, listen, I'm going to take back the city for you. I need your assistance. I love this panel here. It's the guy basically like having a seizure almost, regaining his sanity. Like doing these crazy contortions. But it just looks really cool. And he totally sits upright. He's totally self-assured again. And he's like, good idea, Wonder Warthog. We'll take back the city finally from all the criminals. Here he is doing another goofy little dance. A little jig of joy. It's kind of funny looking. So Wonder Warthog, he gets the other pigs together, you know, and tells them all the plan. The high school girls that were hanging out with the crime boss are now basically going to be their cheerleaders. And they're thrilled. So he's basically strategizing this all-out war on all the criminals. Killwitch Shelton really gets into the details of it, like talking about the strategy and stuff. So they start district by district, rounding up all the criminals, knocking out the headquarters of each one, taking all their contraband. It's just a total all-out war on crime. There's a great panel here. He has so many goofy gags on these signs. And, I mean, just detail. But some of them are just kind of funny, you know. Like hot and cold running alcohol. Basically every kind of vice you can imagine. Cheap handguns. Punk hangout. Sleaze parlor. Whatever that is. And then they have some I don't even understand. Casino scumball. I don't know what scumball is. Some kind of vice. Some kind of bad thing. And of course there's just like 30 gags going on here. Visual gags. So the pig from the future, his plan is that all the criminals, they'll send to his future through that time machine, and he'll start a zoo, an anthropological project. All the criminals of the 20th century will be in there, which is almost all the population of Motherlode. So now we go to the future. We see the king, the grand poobah of this culture, this civilization. And we find out that the pig from the future is his grandson. And they say, basically his lackeys say, Your Excellency, all of these humans are popping out of the time machine. We don't know what the hell's going on. So the grand poobah decides to go back in time and see for himself. Give his grandson a surprise visit. So all the drugs they round up, Wonder Warthog throws it into outer space. All the money that they rounded up, they distribute over the ghetto. And then the king from the future shows up, congratulates them for doing such a good job. It turns out this whole thing was the Emperor's, not his fault. He did it on purpose, but as an experiment. He put some things in motion that led to Motherlode. So almost this whole 5-part epic we've been reading, it was all because of little seeds he planted, if you will. And so then basically the 2 pigs from the future go back, and the 3 warthogs who are left are, once again, they're like, I'm hungry, me too. So they're probably gonna go eat. Weird little last panel. But there's a really weird epilogue here. Just from that scrotal sack-like logo, it doesn't look like Killwitch Shelton. And they say there's a planet far away. Basically, it's a craggy rock. An old geezer sits on a rocking chair throne, surrounded by his subjects and thousands of chickens. So he says he's very bored. He says if something exciting doesn't happen, he's going to blow up the whole universe. So it's kind of implied this is God. I think this is God. And just then, a pizza with a police hat flies in front of him. I guess it's flying from Earth. And if you remember, that's what happened to the chief of police last issue. He was turned into a pizza. God eats them, and then he says, I'm sparing the universe because I was so tasty. I wish I had some dessert. And then the giant compressed block of drugs lands. And it says, taste me. So God's going to have some fun. And then we have a postscript. I guess Filbert Desnix became mayor of Motherlode. And he took the teachers out of prison because there was a desperate need for babysitters, but he left the bankers and lawyers in prison, and also threw in the real estate developers and insurance guys and most established television personalities. So I guess that's a kind of a happy ending, unless you're one of those guys. Here's another one-pager from French cartoonist Reiser. They're all scum. As you can see, he's got this very loose style. Kind of good, though. The gag's not that funny. Oh, here's a beautiful one. Dino Boy and the City of Robots by Hal Robbins and Paul Mavrides. And once again, just beautiful art. And once again, just a very bizarre, odd story. And we see Dino Boy. He's in the City of Robots. And they kind of capture him and haul him off to be observed by the ruling council of robots, I guess. This stuff is just so tight and sharp. Man, I assume Mavrides is inking, but I don't know how they actually distribute the art duties here. So they basically start talking to Dino Boy. They say, you know, we have determined you're an organic unit. And be prepared for data encoding. And basically they're going to give him the gift of all knowledge. And they put him in this weird chair. And so he crawls away. He can barely walk because his brain is so big now. And the robots are like, visit us again, bye. It's so repulsive looking. Now we have chapter 2 of The Idiots Abroad, featuring the fabulous Freak Brothers, of course. This is by Gilbert Shelton and Paul Mavrides. We've already looked at this, as I've said before. But man, it's nice seeing it with this slick paper in full color. I believe Guy Caldwell is still helping with the coloring. I could have looked that up, but I don't feel like it. But look at this, guys. I mean, you've seen this before on that video, but oh, look at that. I love how Gilbert Shelton really gives a shit about this kind of stuff. Like, I'm going to draw all these different cool architectural edifices, and he really seems to love doing it and making everyone unique. I really think that guy could have been an architect in an alternate reality. So, like I said, I'm not going to get into the plot, but I just want to show off this nice art. Look at this panel, though. Doesn't that totally look like Sergio Aragonés? I never noticed that before. All of this coloring just looks so nice. I think if I picked this up when it was coming out when I was a teenager, this would have blown my mind. Because, you know, most of the comics I read were crappy newsprint comics. Even Heavy Metal didn't seem to have colors this nice. Heavy Metal had some problems with the color registration sometimes. But this is just vibrant, fun coloring on this slick paper. It looks great. Oh, this is a treat. Robert Williams, A Pissant's Chance. And we see Coochie Cootie. He's down in his luck. He's a street person. And on the news, basically they passed a law which any homeless person is basically breaking the law, and they can be hauled in and sent to a work camp. So this kind of punky dude says, hey, follow me. It's this way or jail. And it's from a manhole. So he goes down into the sewer. I guess there's a whole community living there. And Coochie Cootie's just like, but it's fucking disgusting. You're wallowing in shit. And they're like, yeah, but it's the only way to be safe. And so he's just like, I'd rather take my chances with the cops than live in shit. And so he gets out of the manhole. And of course the cops see him instantly and nab him. And they beat the shit out of him. This is a very, well, I don't know yet, but it seems like a prescient story. This seems like where we're heading. And so the judge throws the book at him. 3 years in a work camp. Due to his frailness and tininess, he can't do hard labor. So they send him down to this Argentinian sex robot factory. And he realizes while he's working on one of these sex robots that he can fit inside. So he gets in it. And I guess that robot happened to be shipped to the President of the United States as a gift from the President of Argentina. It's a number 5 big titter. I don't want to read all the dialogue. I mean, I could get in trouble for doing that. But man, almost every panel's got a good gag in it and a good funny joke, you know. Robert Williams is like such an artiste, you know, with his paintings, but he's funny as hell and just really funny, goofy humor too. So when the president opens the sex robot crate, Coochie Cootie, you know, who's in charge of it, accidentally rips the president's arm off and then says, oh shit, I got to do something. So then he rips the head off, puts it on the robot, and basically takes over America. And president has sex change, abolishes IRS, and nationalizes Wall Street. So it's a happy ending, I guess. A happy, weird ending. Here we have another chapter of The Taxi Driver by Martí. And this is a great series. I mean, this is all collected in the graphic novel, which has at least 2 to 3 editions. I love this opening page here, where it's just kind of introducing us to the character, reintroducing us. And it looks like one of those mystery books with the map on the back. I really like this first page here. So we see the cabbie hanging out with his mother, and she's alluding to the fact that one day soon he'll get his inheritance, because she feels herself weakening every day. Her heart can't take much anymore. Then they cut away to the guy that the last issue that the cabbie brought to the police, the mugger. And they show this other guy in prison, this young man who looks strangely like the mugger. And strangely like a Chester Gould drawn character. So it turns out the reason why the resemblance is there, it's his son. And he says, son, you're getting out in a few days. You have to get revenge for me. You got to find out where that cabbie lives. And you got to make him pay for what he did to me. So now we see the cabbie. And I guess at the taxi co-op, the mechanic is putting in all this extra cool James Bond type shit. Like electrical shocks in all the metal parts in the back seat if he wants to take someone out. Tear gas tanks. So the cabbie's really up in his game. So now we cut away. We see the son, who's been released from prison. He buys a knife, gets a rat in the sewers, and then stabs the rat to his door, to the cabbie's door. It says, rats like you always end up like this one. So it says to be continued. I'm pretty sure this was never continued in Off Comix, though. It was just collected as a graphic novel. But I think this came out maybe before it was ever a Catalan collection. So now we have our comics, cartoonist of the world section. This time we're focusing on Danish comics. And I kind of like this old-timey comic here from Storm Peterson, because it's so dumb. We see this guy with a mustache looking at like a walrus with a mustache or some kind of seal. He gets his mustache shaved, and when he comes back, the seal now has no mustache. It's just so dumb that I like it. Here's an example of Freddie Milton, very Karl Barks-like. I think he ended up writing and drawing for Disney Comics, doing Duck Stories. Folk Song by Klaus Delaron. This is a very silly nonsense strip. And here's this guy, Peter Batson. Looks kind of asterixy. Looks kind of fun. Here we have Take Off That Record or Roast the Press Secretary. This is art by Ole Pil, text by Paul Mauler. And this is we just see that if you're a youth in Denmark at the time, there's just no jobs. This guy keeps getting fired. Then the government keeps kind of dicking him around about his welfare benefits, and the union does it. The union's like, oh, you didn't work long enough. You don't get any union pay. And the whole time, though, there's this parrot saying, youth holds the promise of the future. Oh. And so all these shitty things keep happening to this guy, and that parrot just keeps saying it. And so finally the guy kills the parrot and roasts him because he's got no money for food. And he says, this youth holds the promise of dinner. I kind of like that gag. Oh man, I really like this guy just because it's so dopey and weird. It's just like, I guess kind of like that Johnny Ryan school of cartooning. This is Hans und Gretchen in der Woods by Peter Kehlenbrandt. I'll stop doing that accent now. And it's just, Hans gets Gretchen to come to the bushes with him. He violates her. And then she falls for it again, but this time this old witch, I love the way that's drawn. This old witch comes by and rescues the Gretchen and ties Hans's penis in a knot as punishment. Like I said, very dumb, but kind of reminds me of that John Kirschbaum guy. Just how the zany cartooning. This one, I don't know how I feel about this one. It's called Virtuous Love. It's just a one-page gag, but I don't know, this cartooning, it almost seems like, I know there wasn't computer art then, but it seems like it. It's like a little too clean for me. I don't know why I don't like it. It's actually, I'm sure it's fine, you know. Next we have Copenhagen by Henning Kure. And did I even say this guy's name? It's Martin Smet. I think I forgot to mention that. So now we have Henning Kure with Copenhagen. And this is just about a guy on like a more serious type strip. Not so great. I don't know. He kind of draws people like elvishly. Sunday Coffee by Susie Beck. And this is just a woman visits her mother. Her grandmother's there. And she just has to sit there listening to her mother and grandmother bickering, recriminations about the past. How the mother let the daughter down, the vice versa. It's kind of a bitter argument, which drives the narrator, Susie, or the main character, to drink all the port wine left. This one's very odd. This art style totally looks like bad fanzine artists from like the late 70s, early 80s. Very crude. It says, it's Back to Nature by Georgia Nielsen. Looks at a porcupine. Where? Bump. There. And then this nephew art kid. So, yeah, I kind of want to see more of his stuff, though. There's something about it that's so goony. I like it. This is a true story in some countries. And this is basically just this litany of how governments can be so bad. Some regimes do not respect the privacy of citizens, their own homes. Some regimes, the government, in some countries, the government wiretaps people and does all these things. And you realize that he's talking about his own country. He's talking about my country too. Is all these things the government does that's really, when you think about it, it's like terrible. The shit we put up with. Pretty nice cartooning though. I like this guy. I would definitely like to see more by him. Rune Kid. He's the one who actually wrote the introduction to this Danish comic section. I didn't mention that. Here's A Mistake by Klaus Dellerong. And this kid shows up at his violin lesson. He's got a machine gun in his case. And he says, yeah, I'm pretty bummed about this because it means my dad's at the bank with my violin. And the bank robber's just playing violin since he doesn't have a gun. Kind of cute little gag. This one I don't understand at all. I really like it though. Same artist, food chain reaction. We see all these, like a single cell organism get eaten. The fish eats the other thing. A bigger fish comes by, eats him and some others. And each time, are these supposed to be eggs? They grow. So it's almost like they accumulate the more. And then finally a guy catches the fish, a fisherman. And we see a guy eating it. And we see all those weird little eggs. And then he blows up. Which, am I dumb? Am I missing something? I don't get this at all. I was like adding up the number of eggs. Oh, is that relevant? 3 eggs, 9. I don't understand at all. We have some ads. And the Freak Brothers story continues on these last last 3 color pages. So, yeah, even though I'm not going to tell you the plot, but I have been rereading these, and they're just so fun. Freak Brothers comics, like these adventures they get on, they're just, you can't stop reading. Every page is some crazy twist in the plot, but totally that makes sense. He's just really good at constructing stories. And here we have a nice back cover by Tony Bell, flying solo, I believe, and showing the warthogs. I don't remember this scene in any of the stories, but I have a bad memory. But who cares? It's a pretty nice painting. So there you have it, guys. Rip-Off Comics number 12. Probably the last issue I'll ever own and or show off to you. Who knows, though? Maybe I will hunt down those other issues and buy them again. And maybe this time I'll like them enough to keep them. But there's better things to buy, I think, that I know are better. So, hope you guys like looking at this. I thought probably one of the best issues. This is a stellar issue, I think, with Martí, Robert Williams, all the great shit in here. It's really a fantastic issue. Unfortunately, like I said, this is the last issue of this format. And kind of makes me sad. I would kind of wish this could have continued. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time here at the Herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies.